Alas, did my Savior bleed? Did my sovereign die? Would he devote that sacred head for someone such as I? At the cross, where I first saw the light, the burden of my heart rolled away. It was there by faith I received my sight. Now I'm happy all the day. As if for crimes that I have done, he suffered on that tree. Amazing pity, grace unknown, and love beyond degree. At the cross, where I first saw the light, the burden of my heart rolled away. It was there by faith, received my sight. Now I'm happy all the day. The drops of grief can never repay the debt of love I owe. Lord, I give myself to thee. 'Tis all that I can do. At the cross, where I first saw the light, the burden of my heart rolled away. It was there by faith I received my sight. Now I'm happy all the day.
Good morning, Avon, and all our guest viewers. Happy to have you here. Today I'm sitting down with Anthony Sweet, who is a singer-songwriter living in the Niagara area right now, and who also happens to be an old friend of mine. So it's good to see you, brother. How are you doing?
Here. Very well. Yeah, very well.
Why don't we start with some background? I'm assuming most people don't know who you are. So you grew up in the church, in what you might, I mean, we don't like labels, but what you might call conservative evangelical Christianity. Is that fair?
Fair, yeah.
And you weren't just involved, like you were, your whole family was heavily invested. You were a missionary family.
Yes.
So you grew up in Germany as a missionary kid.
I did.
So I'm just curious if you can talk a bit about that and how that has impacted and shaped you as the person you are today in your spiritual growth journey.
Well, yeah, Mom and Dad are definitely involved, and that started, 1982, moved over there. Dad was teaching at the school, and after about a year of teaching or so, they decided to start being involved in a German church instead of the church that was on campus. And so we became involved, and as I grew up, we were always singing in the house, and slowly I started helping out in the musical end of things at the service, and then slowly leading, so yeah, we were every Sunday morning. We were the first ones there. the last ones to leave, that kind of deal. And
I do know that deal.
Sunday lunch, there was always somebody over for lunch, and it was good. It was good. There was I think a loving, genuine vibe to my family, and I found, or I experienced love, through my parents, and support, and encouragement to press deeper and touch the divine, I guess you could say,
Nice.
and there was many opportunity for that, either at home, or at church, yeah, absolutely. But I remember even as a young kid, I would have moments where I would be singing and I would begin to cry often. Like that was the kind of an experience that I would have, and it was like I was coming just in direct contact, with something that's bigger than me, very, very intimate, but very big, and I think that was my first kind of taste of the realness, I guess you could say, of this connection. And that stayed with me for, still does.
Yeah.
Okay.
That
was the beginning.
I remember you telling me a story. I think it was in Germany. You're at a music festival?
I was.
And you had an encounter.
It was nuts.
And I remember you went around making people, well, tell the story.
Yeah,
that cracked me up, that part of it. But also how it shaped and influenced you.
It was so bizarre.
Tell the story. I think it's beautiful.
It was quite a bit led up to it,
Okay.
After I graduated from high school at this missionary school, I was there in Germany for a couple of years trying to figure out, okay, what am I doing? And I decided to come back to Canada. Okay. Canadian, citizenship, so it wasn't a problem. I could come here and live here and work, but being away from family, that was the first time, and I began exploring, exploring more so, like just letting go of that. Okay, you are a Christian, you are. This is what you are, and there's no room for experimentation or wandering. Oh, don't wander, that kind of. But I did, and there were. It was a time of feeling quite lost. I think I was looking in areas that were not feeding me, and my path took me to this festival, and as I was getting ready, as I was going to this festival and being a part of it, it was out in the country outside of our town, 10,000 people in Germany. That was our little town, and you could wander up through the woods to this property that housed the festival, and it was very, very, very simple and beautiful, and a clearing, with the stage was makeshift, a big triangle, and the sound booth was the guy's VW van. It was kind of wild. It was really neat, but that whole time I was still feeling pretty lost, but there was still that desire in me, I think, from my upbringing, that there was something more. I just didn't know how to touch it, I didn't know how to get there, and I think, I'll get into this later, but dealing with my own sexuality and being attracted to men, that was definitely confusing, and so I think that was a part of my not being able to interact with the divine, or not think I could, because of there's this wall, you know. Oh, there's something wrong, you know, or I'm not accepted. There's, you know, yeah. So that was sitting there, and I went for counseling. Actually, I ran into this individual through my parents. I said, hey, you know, you might want to chat with this individual about, you know, life, and maybe he can help you out. And I remember the one time sitting with him, he said, write down all the things that you think you are, like all the things that you do, write them and then take them away, and who are you? And I did that, and I was like, whoa, it scared me kind of, because I didn't know then, you know, who am I if I take all the things, you know, that I'm interested in or that I do, like, what is Anthony, you know? And I was like, whoa, that was kind of scary. And so back to the festival, I just remember I was sitting in this part of the festival had a like a cement structure, like a house kind of thing, and I was just sitting in there with my guitar and singing kind of ad lib, like just singing and being just kind of experimenting with that. And in that moment, it was a free moment. It was a good moment, and I just remember feeling very connected to something, and I began to cry. Like it was really kind of wild, like poof, all of a sudden, and I cried. And at that moment, I thought, there's a shift. I feel a shift. There's a shift happening, or this is the beginning of a shift. Like something. It was quite powerful, and I got up and I put my guitar down and I went outside where a whole bunch of people were, and I just remember I like fell, or I landed on my knees in the dirt. Like there was grass and dirt and people walking everywhere and barefoot kids, and there I am, like sobbing. Like I was sobbing. It was crazy. And I was there on my knees, and I felt like I was going through like this channel, like a birth canal kind of thing. Like it was so wild. It was really like I just knew it was happening. You know, it was like something's happening here, and I'm passing from one way of thinking or way of being into another. You know, and when I remember saying, fill me up, you know, I need to be filled up. So it's something like I felt like I was gonna lose it, you know, and I don't often cry like that. Like that was intense. It was like choking, like you know, like so heavy, so crazy, and I asked for that. I said, I need to receive whatever, you know, and like crazy, and I just felt like my face, like my body was like a light, like it was so wild, man. But I knew that I had met like the Spirit of God, or at that time I had said Jesus, like the Spirit of Jesus. But I know I met, or I came in contact with my Creator, or my, you know, the great love, and at that moment I felt at home, you know, like it was wild, and it was very clear. I was very clear, like I knew that that all was well, and that I was safe, you know, and it was very powerful, and I just remember, I went, like people would just ask me, because they saw, like friends of mine, they saw a difference, like it was so crazy.
Just your energy, your thought, what you were radiating, something.
You know,
and they asked you, and
I just said I met the Spirit of Jesus. You know.
Didn't you make them guess?
Oh, I don't remember.
You told me you would make them guess. You're like, I met someone. Like who? You have to guess.
That could have been my parents. That could have been my parents.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I called them, I think the next day. They were, where were they? They had just moved back to Canada.
And you were in Germany.
And I was in Germany.
Okay.
Yeah. So they were back, and I called them, because they witnessed a lot of my turmoil, and so for them to hear that was good for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good for them. Yeah, it was very powerful. Such a crazy. Yeah, the clarity was wild.
I like that.
Yeah.
And you've had more than one. I mean, you've had
Yeah, I've had others,
experiences, but that was. I
but
remember
that was
one.
the
That was
most.
where you
Yeah, it was incredible.
birth canal. That's. I mean,
Yeah.
literal rebirth. Like this is.
And nothing else was there. Like the
Yeah.
people, everything was kind of gone. Like, and it was just like me and this.
Light,
Yeah.
love.
And I knew what was happening. Ooh.
And I believe it because you do. You radiate that energy, light and love, man. So I don't know what you were like before that experience, but that was
Very
before
mean.
You said a number of things that I could touch on, and we'll come back to some of it. But the reason I asked you to come and do this interview, we as a church are going through the gospel readings. Well, I'll just read. This is this month's readings, or some of them. Matthew chapter 6, starting in verse 19. Do not store up for yourselves treasure on earth, where moth and rust destroy, where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where moth and rust do not destroy, where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. No one can serve two masters. Either he'll hate the one and love the other, be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. And then Luke chapter 12. Luke chapter 12, starting in verse 32. Do not be afraid, for your Father has been pleased to give you the kingdom. So sell your possessions, give to the poor. Provide purses for yourselves that will not wear out, a treasure in heaven that will not be exhausted, where no thief comes and no moth comes to destroy. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So we're going through these readings as a church, and another good friend, asked me, do you know anyone who actually lives this way? Like, do you know any Christians who actually follow Jesus' teachings, like have really renounced the world and possessions and wealth? I immediately thought of you. And I think you follow the teachings of Jesus like this more radically than most people I know. I could probably say everyone I know. I'm not sure. I haven't done an exhaustive, But, and I'm wondering why you have followed that path. But maybe before that, you should explain, how you are following that, because people don't know you like I do.
Right.
And like you have almost no possessions.
Right.
Like you have a van that you live in, that you have, and maybe you want to talk about that. I'm
Sure.
sure my son Elias would like to hear about how you did it yourself, did you not?
Yeah, a friend of
Customized?
mine helped me.
Okay.
Yes,
And then you have a guitar.
I do.
You have some books,
Yeah,
a few books,
a few books,
and
some
clothes.
recording gear, clothes.
that's it.
Yeah, winter clothes, summer clothes.
So yeah, tell us about your almost possessionless life, and yeah, why this? Because you've been doing this for a while.
Yeah, 2 years
And-
almost.
But even before, even when I knew you, you were not. You just had you didn't care about the things of the world, the possessions, wealth.
Yeah,
You never seemed to really be caught up with that. And I'm just, if you can unpack
Sure.
that
probably
part of
a-
your journey.
Few reasons why I live the way I live. I live pretty simply. Like I live in in a van, you know, a converted Dodge Sprinter, you know, my baby. Yeah, 2 years in December, which is kind of wild. So coming into my third winter,
Wow.
which is exciting. Yeah, I love the winter.
You love
Oh, it's beautiful.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, one of the reasons was I didn't want to be pushing so hard. I don't want to push so hard. You know, I don't want to be, in my life, I've been bound to a job before, you know, where I'm working 8 or 9 hours a day or more. And I didn't like that very much. You know, I felt there was more to life than that. And I found, you know, landed upon bus driving, school bus driving, which I really like. You know, kids keep me on my toes, and I love driving a bus. But yeah, I found I don't. I know that having many things is not really going to make me happy. You know, like I know in my life I've gotten things in the past, like I'll buy something in the past, something that I'm all excited about, you know, and I buy it and then like a week later, it's already like fizzled, you know, and so think trying to hold that, you're like, okay, this is a pattern. Is this really feeding me, you know? Whatever it is, maybe it's fun and it's helpful, but I think is it really bringing me like contentment, you know? And I think over my, like as I've gotten older now, I've discovered there are things that bring me contentment, you know, and they don't involve money, at least a lot of it, you know? Being out in nature is free, right? And it's very healing, I find.
Yep.
You know, just stopping, learning to pause. And that's what's been nice about not having to push so hard, is that I have more time to be out in nature and not think about my clock.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I have to be somewhere. Not that I don't have to be some places in my life, I do. And it's good for me. Routine is good for me, but and music doesn't cost me a whole lot of money either. You know, I'm very blessed, fortunate to be able to do what I do, you know, and that I can sing and I can play music and that, you know, living in St. Catharines, I've been able to find, or maybe they've found me, or you know, you run into people that you're meant to run into, and being able to play in various bands, you know, being able to record with people. You know, so these people have come into my life and helped me along in that journey of mine, and I do live with that balance of having enough and thinking, oh, okay, do I trust that it will work, you know, and always holding that, you know, trusting that I'm taken care of, living within the means, yes, you know, but trusting, looking back and saying, oh, I was taken care of then, you know, I'll be taken care of now. And in this moment, when I stop, in this moment, I'm taken care of, you know, and in the next moment, I'll be taken care of too, you know,
Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is peace. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is love. There is comfort in life's darkest hour. There's life and light, there is help and power. In the Spirit of the Lord. in the Spirit of the Lord, there is peace. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is love. There is comfort in life's darkest hour. Life and light, there is help and power. In the Spirit of the Lord, there is comfort in life's darkest hour. Life and light, there is help and power. In the Spirit of the Lord, there is comfort in life's darkest hour. Life and light, there is help and power. In the Spirit of the Lord.
When Jesus talks about investing instead in treasures in heaven, investing in spiritual,
Yeah.
that's what he's talking about. Like that, I mean, I see you as someone who does that, right? Like that's a big part of your life. You're not, you're using your time and energy to whatever language you would use, but
Right,
you
right,
to
right.
develop your spirituality, to discover and become your true self. That's some of the way that I would talk about it. But
Yes.
I definitely see you as someone who does invest more because you have the time and space to do that.
Yeah.
Because but you are doing that. You're not filling up your free time with a bunch of stuff. You do spend a lot of time in solitude and in nature and in meditation and in prayer and in.
Yeah. It feels right. Like that's where I am. Like I always thought, like when I would read the Bible, not that I don't anymore, but I used to read the Bible a ton, and it would always intrigue me when Jesus went alone to the mountaintop, or Jesus went alone early in the morning, and I'd always think, oh, what was he doing? You know, what was he doing there? Was he speaking a lot, or was he just sitting or watching or looking? And I think I've come to the place where he was being reminded of his identity, I think, you know, and of his connection, that he is connected. You know, he is, yes, the mystery of divine and human, but so am I, you know, and so are we. Like in that, I think for us to stop on a regular basis and remind ourselves that, I am divine and human, but there's a mixture going on right now, right here, you know, like right now. It's wild. And we can tap into that, you know, and then operate out of that space, which is wild. You know, I don't need to, something really big has got my back. You know, not that, it's not easy. It's not about being easy. You know, lessons come in many ways. You know, but I think the lessons are, at least for me, all about, do I choose to go deeper, or do I choose to allow this difficult moment, which is labeling the moment, I think, as, is it gonna draw me away from remembering who I am? You know? And I'm like, no, and so there too, like learning not to label things. You know, just is.
Is that a lot of your, what I would call spiritual practice? Is a lot of it is just pausing and reminding yourself of your identity and embodying who you truly are?
Yeah. And I think that for me, the like the simple, not easy, but the simple practice, you know, is watching the thoughts that come, that tell me, this is who you are, you know, or this is what I should do, you know, and watching those thoughts, and then letting them go again, you know, letting them go and coming back to the silence, the stillness. And I believe that stillness is divine. Like, doesn't, it's not loud, or like it's just like a river, like something I can sink into. But meditation is helpful for that. You know, cutting out time where I don't need to be anywhere, and I don't need to be saying anything, or I don't need to be interacting with people, you know. And the more I practice that, the more I want to, because I think I'm coming in contact with, something pretty amazing.
Nice.
And something really intimate.
Yes.
So wild. Like a great love. Yeah.
Tammy was talking the other day about when we used to meet every morning, 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Silence. But it was silence.
It was.
We didn't work for a lot of people, eh? You know,
No,
people
it's hard.
would come and go because we weren't into chatting, or this isn't chat time or Bible
People
discussion
thought we
time.
were sleeping.
This is silence, and
That was the beginning.
it was fantastic. Yeah, yeah.
We each have our own ways, I think.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my way is going to look different than yours, and the challenges are unique for whoever you are. You know, I think encouragement is key. You know, like I'm not doing what you're doing, you know, or I'm not working the job you're working, or I'm not living in the family you're living with, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And we're each learning balance in our own way.
Yeah.
And I think what's important is to press in, individually to press in, and not to focus too much on telling other people to do it. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you need to do it. Yeah, no. I have to focus on myself.
Yeah.
And the encouragement will happen then wordlessly. You know, I think. Which is powerful. More powerful than words.
What would you say are, you might have already covered this, but like what have been the main benefits that you have felt from living so simply and living not governed by the clock, money, etc.?
Yeah, I think, you know, having the time to give bigger amounts of time to those simple practices of either meditation or walking or singing.
Do you think as you've journeyed into a simpler and simpler lifestyle, that, like, do you think you're experiencing more peace or more joy or more, you talked about
Contentment.
Contentment.
I'm content. I'm becoming more and more content, and content with the simple, like not thinking that, oh, I have to do something very big, you know, and no, because it's not about what I do, which is so crazy, you know. It's just about I think it's all about my connection, you know, and the rest will happen as it should.
So that's the
core.
The core of your life is connection with
Remembering I'm connected.
with divine, or what?
Yeah.
What,
The Spirit of God.
yeah,
You know, I don't think there's so many names,
exactly.
you know, but not to get hung up on the names. You know, they're pointers, signs.
You are with me now. You are with me now. Within the sacred moment, I feel your arms around me, and I will. I'll give my fear and worry to you now. For you are, you're big enough, and you with you, this is my soul's home. Oh, la 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 la. La 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 la. Within the sacred moment, I feel your arms around me, and I will. I'll give my fear and worry to you now. For you are, you're big enough, and you with you, this is my soul's home. La 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 la, yeah, la 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 la, la 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 la, yeah.
So, Anthony, you are one of the most deeply spiritual people that I know, and follow the teachings of Jesus more diligently, practically, and radically than most Christians I know. And yet many Christians would have issues with one part of your story. And yeah, I want to talk a bit about that, your journey of coming out as someone with same-sex attraction.
Yeah. At first, it was very quiet. You know, it wasn't known, it wasn't allowed, right? It was, you're in danger. Wow. Yeah, so that took a while. That took a while, and I find I didn't go so much to the church for guidance in that. I didn't have much mentorship in that area at all, really. Relationships and love were definitely difficult. But I had many a dialogue with God. It was good. You know, it was kind of wild, letting that God that I had grown up with, at least that section of that God or that point, letting him die, that it wasn't. And that was a little scary, that.
No doubt.
Yeah. But I felt safe. I felt safe and I felt at home, like in my wandering. Like I did, this was in CMU, I was out at CMU studying there in Winnipeg at the time.
Yeah.
And I landed up going to this Anglican church on Sunday nights. And there were powerful moments there too, where I remember feeling safe in my wandering. That I was never outside of the great love, right? And I think I had feared I was, and that was the gamble. It's like, well, am I willing to step outside, and possibly lose the connection, And I was like, yeah. But then I had that. I was sitting again in the church, and there were many a moment where I cried, often, usually silently. But the music was very powerful at that church, and that thought came. Yeah, you're safe. There's nothing outside. So but it is a journey.
You're
a
still part
journey.
of that journey?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think that will be a part of my journey until I transition die.
Yes.
Yeah. Past the door.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there was still a church that was helpful.
Yes.
Through that process.
Yes. Yes.
You mentioned the music. What was it about the music that?
There was a singer-songwriter that attended this church that wrote material for the church. But they would also, and he was very talented and it was very beautiful. And what was special about their musical setup was it was all at the front, facing the front. So they're up on the left-hand side, facing the front, so not in front of people. And they were all mic'd, so the sound would carry. Like it was a very big old church, wooden pews and high ceiling and cement, and it was amazing. So the sound would just wash over you, and his very clear guitar playing and picking was beautiful, but repetition and just kind of bathing in the sound.
Yeah.
And I remember there was Sinead O'Connor, "Thank You for Loving Me," I think is the song. I don't know what it's called. Thank you for love. It's really lovely, and the verse just repeats itself, and the words change. It's very powerful, and just beautiful moments. Again, just being reminded of, I'm not alone.
Yeah.
I'm not alone. There's something very mysterious here, and I might feel or be alone, but I'm not. So it's leaning on that.
I know that was a tough journey with your parents as well.
Oh yeah, it was.
And where is that? I haven't talked to you in a while. So.
Yeah, fair. What we've focused on is just being together, which has been really good. Just spending time together.
Did the judgment of Christians, how did that influence you? And how does it, because they're still there?
I think so much of it was through Scripture, for me at least. These passages that dealt with.
All 6 of them.
I know. There's not many. It's so crazy. But they weighed heavy. And I think just talk that you hear as you grow up.
Yeah.
You know, and comments that are made, not that I remember what they are or remember moments where I was ashamed. I'm sure there were. But yeah. No, I felt I had to be true. And so I choose that. And you might have an issue with that, and that's just fine. I don't know. I don't know. I've spent too much time thinking or wrestling with it. I don't want to waste any more energy there.
Yeah.
I don't need to. And love is beautiful, you know. So I press in, and when the person presents themselves, when my partner will present himself, then I will go. You know. Yeah.
Well, you've certainly been a big part of my journey as I walked with you through some of that, expanding my own understanding of what it means to be a human being made in the image of God, which is who you are. And it was very, very helpful, for you to let me into that process. And to see that it really, I want to say it doesn't matter, but of course it does, because people's journeys, it matters very much. So when I say it doesn't matter, it doesn't separate us.
Right.
It doesn't. There is no. Well, we've experienced this. We've experienced oneness with one another, with divine, and I think that's a big part of our connection, is the connection.
Yeah.
That's and the rest is details.
The rest is details. Yeah.
That just makes life interesting.
Yeah, that's right.
So, Anthony, I'm wondering, you grew up in the church, you know the church well. And in some ways you were hurt by the church. And I'm wondering if you have a message, words of wisdom, encouragement, judgment, whatever words you have, for Christians and for churches that still do things that hurt people. That whether it's attitudes or actions or words, beliefs that inflict harm upon other people, specifically LGBTQ. Do you have a message?
For each of us to press in on our own, you know, and to spend more of our energy on, like for me, on my path. You know, not to waste so much energy on what are they doing, you know, or what is he doing, or she doing, you know. It's amazing how that can, you know, we lose. I think we then it gets kind of cloudy, you know, and we forget, like, because there will always be different people, like people that look different or speak differently, and things will trigger all the time. But that's part of my practice, to not let it bug me,
Mm.
right?
Mhm.
And part of your practice for not let it bug you either. Is it helpful for me to get caught up in who you love? Is it? I think we need to point people towards the divine through practicing ourselves,
Mhm.
remembering ourselves. I like the Bible talks about where, I don't know, I don't remember, but going into the inner chamber,
Mhm.
closing the door, speaking to God that knows all things. That's it. Yeah. Go and drink from the fountain.
Amen.
Yeah.
You've talked about pressing in.
Yes, or steeping.
Steeping. Oh, yes.
Like a tea bag.
What do you mean by pressing in?
I just feel like it's this, I can just push into like, almost like a memory foam type. I don't know. I don't really have like an image in my mind. It's more of a, like this something and you hug somebody and you push, you pull in, that type of like, really my effort too. I'm pushing. I like that thought that God is running towards, is moving towards us.
Yeah.
But I can also move the same direction, towards and knowing that is desired, that is so desired. Whoa. That I would do that. Desired by God.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, wow. And aided, like I'm aided in this, I'm pulled, I just have to say yes and give time,
Do you love everyone? You seem to.
That's a big question. It's moment by moment. As you come in contact with people, trying to give them space to be who they are, and not to say, 2 minutes in or whatever, this is your story. I know enough. I know I can make up my own mind about who, disregard or not, and trying giving people space, to allow them to share themselves. Yeah, we're afraid enough, we're afraid to be real.
Yeah, we are.
It's like, vulnerable. At the same time, you're in good hands. So, but for us all to remember, we're in good hands. And it's not about me being better than you or you being better than the next, or let's try and stay on that mark, who am I? I'm a child of the divine. Yeah. Ooh.
Beautiful.
Yeah. It's good. It's good.
Let's choose to love, 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 love our brothers and our sisters. We are the same, flesh and blood. Let's choose to love, 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 love our brothers and our sisters. We are the same, flesh and blood. You say how? Well, let's give of our time. You say how? Well, let's let our smile shine. Maybe then, and maybe then, we will lift, we will lift, we Let's choose to hold each other's dreams, dreams, dreams. With gentleness, we are together on this road. Let's choose to hold each other's dreams, dreams, dreams. With gentleness, we are together on this road. And I say, come. There is room by my side. And we say, come. Be brave, do not hide. Take my hand and lift me